a really shocking fact, it's in my book, it's in lots of other books as well, is that your attitude to money as an adult is largely set by the age of 7 years old.
It's absolutely terrifying.
And that's why on Money Clinic podcast, one of the things that we ask most of the guests is, what's your earliest money memory? Because often asking someone that can tell you an awful lot about their attitude to finances now. I mean, I don't know about...
What's yours? We'll do
watching my mum and dad, like I used to sneak downstairs and peer through the banisters and watch them, because I knew that they were like up to something in the kitchen, and they had all of the kind of budget out and the money. I mean, this was like the early 80s, so there was cash. They were counting out cash into envelopes, which is a method of budgeting that's like making a massive comeback. Cash stuffing, they call it now. But it was just watching them carefully dealing with their finances together. And the fact it was all of my dad's money, because he worked and my mum was a housewife, as they were called back then. And so she was very much having an equal say, even though it was the money that he had earned and where it was going. And it was all being put into envelopes, so some for the holiday, some for this, some for the bills, and stuffed into the pages of this huge like cookery book that she used to keep on the shelf. So I knew where the money was. And the question that everyone always asked me was like, did you ever steal any? The answer was no. I would never have, I would have been far too scared. And she would have known, you know, as my mum was like on it, that something was missing. But maybe that memory has instilled into me that being careful with money is something that you've got to make time for. Is something that you've got to share the burden with your partner, and also that you've got to feel comfortable making decisions equally. I mean, I earn a lot more money than my partner does. This is something that I discuss in the book. It's quite common. You know, you're never going to get two people who are exactly the same financially. One might come from a wealthier background,
and it changes over time.
Background. Exactly. You know, family circumstances can change in a heartbeat. So you've got to, you know, I've always strived to have that, you know, in my relationships, whether with friends or with romantic partners, that there is this degree of honesty and acceptance, rather than a sort of show-offy status, flashy, I've got a better car than you have, that kind of stuff. So, and I think that really kind of informs how I'm grounded financially as a person. Sorry, that was a very long answer.
No, that's all right. What's your first money memory? Come on.
My parents were always like, you need to know the value of money. So if I wanted to buy something, from like a young age, they always like, in the summer, do work experience. Don't just play around, so you can know the value of money. Or do chores, like wash the dishes, clean the car, set the table.
Slippery slope, paying children for chores.
Yeah, but my first actual memory was probably going to like summer camp.
Okay.
Like, you know, go to like sports camp for like 2 or 3 weeks in the summer. And obviously you get like lunch money every day. So I think the first day my dad gave me £20, and I was like, wait. So I spent the whole thing. And then the next day I was like, Dad, I'm going back to camp. I need some more money. He's like, I gave you £20 yesterday. What happened to it? I'm like, I spent it. He's like, well, you don't get any more today. And I was like, but he's like, you can take some food from home. And obviously there's like ice cream, there's sweets, there's like burgers. So I wanted all the stuff at the camp. So then the whole it was £5 a day I was meant to have, but I spent the whole £20 on the first day. So then I learned after like the next 3 days I had to take my own packed lunch, and I was really sad. So then I was like, okay, next week I'm going to spread it out. And that's kind of when I first learned about budgeting. And then when I started getting paid, I took none of that on board and just, we're going out. So I'm still working on budgeting, but that was my first memory.
And what about you?
I started how I meant to go on, spend it all quickly and then worry about it later.
Mine. So I used to, because my mum was a single parent, so I would go to work with her when I was off school, and they used to pay me to be quiet. They call them sponsored silences.
A sponsored silence.
Yeah. This is from about the age of 3 or 4. So they were basically paying me £1 to shut up for an hour, because funnily enough, I like to talk.
Well, yeah.
I don't know what I take from that, but all I'm going to say is I now earn money from talking about money, so look at me now.
Yeah.
It's paying you.
It's coming full circle. The sponsored silence.
Yeah, sponsored silence. I remember sponsored silences from a young age. It's pretty brutal, really, thinking about it.
If you want to hear Claire talk more about our relationship with money, then you should watch this episode here. This is the full episode, and it's actually the first ever episode we made on the podcast.